3 baseball champions have been crowned today, and only one remains. It's Strongsville and Jackson battling it out for the Division I State Baseball Championship. Coming up next on Spectrum Sports. Teams from Northeast Ohio ready to play for the state championship in Division I here at beautiful Huntington Park in downtown Columbus. Hi everybody, alongside Dave Cicutti, I'm Scott Leo. Marissa Contapelli will join us here in just a bit. And Dave, it comes down to this, one more champion to be crowned. It's the big schools. Massillon Jackson's been the team to beat all year long, but Strongsville played them tough in the regular season.
Well, one thing about Strongsville, Scott, is they are a battle-tested team. They play a tough schedule. As you mentioned, mid-season, they had a game against their opponent tonight. They lost that game, but when you talk to the coaches and the players, it might have been the turning point of their season.
Yesterday, in front of a large crowd from here in Central Ohio against Olentangy Orange, Strongsville made all the plays to get here to the championship.
Well, in this particular situation, you're on the big stage. No mistakes, handle everything, take command of the game. That's going to be the key for the Mustang team.
No doubt that in the state tournament, it's been about pitching and defense. Jackson has a powerful lineup, but man, can they pitch the baseball as well.
Well, the one thing about that, pitching's one thing, but the speed on the bases, Scott, is impressive for this baseball team. They are solid, and when you talk to their players, they're going to have some fun tonight, but they're on a business trip. This team is on a mission to win a state title.
Jackson has been the team to beat all season long. Can they win the championship against Strongsville here tonight? We'll find out. First pitch is coming up next. Just about ready for the first pitch in this state championship game in Division I from Huntington Park in the Arena District. Downtown Columbus, the site for the 90th annual baseball state tournament. Here's the starting lineup for the Mustangs from Strongsville, a record of 24-8 on the year. Alex Gray, the center fielder, the speedy leadoff man. Parker Shannon batting second and catching. You see Jack Frank, the 3-hitter in left. Noah Trezino will be the cleanup man at first. Trevor Denning will bat fifth and second. Giovanni Lombardo follows. Mitch Medias, the shortstop and 7-hitter. Kyler Dam in right. And Zach Cassian is the DH batting ninth. Defensively for the Polar Bears, you see Dingler behind the plate. He is a force to be reckoned with, throwing out runners. Romans and Wright, the middle infielders, very, very solid.
Well, you have personnel on this team. You mentioned Dingler, an Ohio State recruit. Everybody's talked rave reviews about this catcher. Can really zip the ball around. He will try to make offenses very difficult for them to move around the bases. It'll be interesting to see if they test his arm.
That Jackson team will be the home team here tonight, so they'll be working out of the first base dugout, batting in the bottom half of the inning. So they will take the field first, wearing the purple jersey tops and caps. As we get you set for the first pitch and a rematch between Strongsville and Jackson. And you see the starter, Yanni Skiriotis, the pitcher for Jackson, is 8-0, 171 ERA. How about this? 48 strikeouts. He's only walked 10 batters all year, a very, very highly touted recruit. That's who Strongsville will have to match up against today. The third member of our broadcast team is Marissa Contapelli. She is down on the field. Marissa, how are you tonight?
Doing fantastic, Scott. Now, you guys had already mentioned Jackson. It's been known that they're the team to beat and have been all season, but don't tell that to Strongsville head coach Doug Cicerci. Now, I can tell you, he has his group relaxed, focused, and locked in, ready to compete tonight. Now, a key reason for that has been his senior class. Cicerci told me this has been one of the best classes he has ever coached, and he has truly enjoyed every moment of this season. Now, we'll see at least 5 of them here tonight, including starter Jarrett Beachy, who Cicerci said he expects a very big game from for the Mustangs.
Beachy will have to have a big game tonight. You figure if Strongsville is going to win. He and Matt Broski have been the two-headed monster pitching for Strongsville. What I think is interesting, Dave, is they have not been a clear-cut 1 and 2. Coach Cicerci has rotated them in the district and the regionals and now here in the state tournament, and he set it up so that if they won yesterday, it would be Beachy on the hill tonight.
Well, what a luxury to have if you're the head baseball coach of this program. 2 hurlers that you could go either way with, but this young man tonight is going to get the call as we approach here first pitch.
Here's the first pitch of the game, fastball for a strike, and that's how the Division I state championship game gets underway. With Alex Gray leading off, hitless yesterday in the semifinal. 318 batter. The right-handed hitter versus the righty pitcher. Ground ball to the second baseman, gobbled up by Wright. And there's the first out of the game.
Anytime you can get ahead of the batter and get that first out. A big momentum swing right now for this baseball team.
The ground ball out, so important, Dave. Keep the ball on the ground and good things usually happen.
You got to think right now, some anxious moments for both of these teams playing for a state title. You got to think there's some nervousness.
Parker Shannon is the Strongsville catcher. He's into the box. And he'll chop this one to third. Motice has it, throwing across the diamond. A very efficient start for Scariotis.
It's probably worth mentioning, Scott, in terms of where the sun, we've been sun-drenched all weekend long here. You'll see the good throw across the infield here, but the sun can become a factor here tonight too. You can see the infielders and the outfielders in this particular setting right now trying to make sure they're adjusting their sunglasses, making sure they're ready for anything comes their way.
Yanni Scariotis to the plate, and there's a strike on the outside corner. 6'2", 170 pounds, the Jackson right-hander, and he can dial it up.
He can do that. You mentioned it. A lot of major colleges are keeping their eye on this young man right here. Can do a lot of things really well.
This one is low, a check swing, appeal to third, and they say that Jack Frank could not check his swing. That's a strike. We get the luxury of replay here, Dave.
That's a beautiful thing, and you can see right there. Good call by the umpire on the third baseline.
The 0-2 upstairs. Scariotis has one of those deliveries where he can throw it upwards of 90 miles an hour, and it looks very clean and easy coming out of his hand.
Exactly, and as we watch this game unfold, we'll watch that speed too. Tendencies are you get a little tired, that speed comes down, but he can really bring it. He'll bring the heat all night long.
Got him with the 1-2 pitch. Went to the breaking ball, gets his first strikeout of the night. Scariotis puts up a 1-2-3, top of the first inning. That's the way Jackson wanted to start it. The favorites all season long around the Buckeye State with a 29-2 record. And now they'll bat for the first time. Here's how the lineup looks for the Polar Bears. Cade Motice leads off at third base. Dylan Dingler will be the catcher hitting second. Jack Motice the center fielder. Kyle Nicholas will be the pitcher, and or I should say the first baseman hitting cleanup. And he pitched yesterday. Trey Wright follows, and then Davis Graham in left field. Jack Deere is the designated hitter batting seventh for the pitcher. Josh Roman's the shortstop. Nick Harrison batting ninth in right field. And for Strongsville defensively, it is Mitch Medea at the shortstop spot, Trevor Denning at second, Alex Gray in center. Coaches will tell you defensively you need to be strong up the middle. Strongsville is.
Well, we heard that in the teleconference this week, and most of these teams who have been here in Columbus and downtown Columbus here have really had that shortstop, that second base. You got that, you got a very good chance to win a game.
Jack Frank in left, Kyler Dam is the right fielder. Some guys that can cover a lot of ground and will have to do so possibly in the Huntington Park outfield today. Jarrett Beachy, the left-hander, 6-2 on the year, and just a 1.69 ERA. So they've got a right-hander and a left-hander, and they like to mix and match them. Today it'll be the left-hander trying to pitch them to a state title.
Well, anytime you kind of switch it up, both these guys knew they were going to be hopefully in a state final game with this opportunity to win a state title. A couple things, Scott, when you think about Strongsville, I always think, especially against Jackson, you got to be steady from the start. They are going to try to come after you offensively, really hot and heavy from the start of this game. I think one of the keys for their defense, reduce the traffic on the bases. Try not to get the running game going here for this Massillon Jackson baseball team. Jackson, on the other hand, quality of bats. Great hitters, very instrumental in terms of their success this season, and they're going to keep the pressure on this team. They are going to try to get base runners. They're going to be aggressive in the plate.
So as we go to the bottom of the first, First pitch of the game from Beachy. And it's in there for a strike. A leadoff man showing bunt for the Jackson Polar Bears. Cade hitting .389 on the year. You look at this Jackson lineup. Here's a ball, line foul off to the first base side. All through the order, good offensive numbers. They can all do damage.
They really can. 1 through 8, 1 through 9. Solid performers, very athletic team. They will put a lot of pressure on this pitcher tonight, and Jared Beachy.
Beachy misses up and away with the 0-2 pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Strongsville yesterday, 3-2 winners over Olentangy Orange. Almost like a road game for Strongsville, playing against the team from here in Central Ohio. Dam backing up. He's got it on the fly ball to right. So there's your first out for Beachy. Kyler Dam going to get it.
You know, one thing to watch with Beachy, the senior left-hander, has a tendency sometimes from a control standpoint to lose some batters sometimes. There's 18 walks on the season, so you got to be careful. You don't want to put people on base. You lose your confidence not only individually, but you got to let your defense help you out as well behind you.
Yesterday for Strongsville, Matt Broski went all 7 innings, gave up 2 runs from 4 hits. Beachy sees a ground ball through the left side. Dylan Dingler will have a 1-out single. We'll be talking about that young man throughout the course of the night. He's a player.
Yeah, solid player. You can watch right here how he squares it up. And again, a powerful type of player. If you watch how his ball just takes off of this infield, it gets through the holes in a hurry. But as you mentioned, Scott, we'll talk a little bit more about Dingler, an Ohio State recruit and someone that I know Coach Beals is probably counting on from the start to give this Buckeye baseball team a big lift next fall.
Second team All-Ohio for the Jackson Bears. First pitch here, low for a ball to the 3-hitter and center fielder. Kyle Nicholas waiting on deck for Jackson here in the bottom of the first. Beachy watching that runner over at first base. Long pause, and that's enough for the batter to call for time. Beachy with the set just below the belt, just staring across at Dingler, who had a decent-sized lead, but no throw over.
Well, Dingler will get your attention, that's for sure. Be it at first base, behind the plate, anywhere he's at.
There's
a
a
force
strike
on the field. Excuse me, Scott.
Sorry, Beachy's on the board in this at-bat.
Beachy will mix up, besides his heater at probably about 83, 84 mile per hour, a little cutter that he likes, and of course the curveball that at times gets a little bit out of control, but still there's the pickoff
There
play.
they go, they got him. The throw to the shortstop, Dingler's out. It's so hard against a left-hander to time that move to know when he's headed to the plate, and Beachy was able to deke Dingler and get him.
Well, you always talk about from a coaching perspective, you got to watch the belt buckle. Most players nowadays, modern era, they don't even wear a belt buckle, so there's nothing to watch there, but the left-hander is always a tough position right there. Dingler got caught moving forward.
So the bases are empty, and the folks from Strongsville making some noise over on the third base side.
Good crowd on hand tonight. A perfect evening to play high school baseball.
It has been gorgeous weather all 3 days for this tournament. That one lifted foul down the third base side, and that'll leave Huntington Park. Great venue and tremendous weather. It's been a fun tournament.
It really has. And, you know, we talked probably all weekend long a little bit, some of the radio broadcasts, the TV, about the dimensions of the field. A little larger field as you see the movement of the ball right there. Going to have to make the play.
Yeah, the pitcher
Beachy
didn't get off the mound on the high chopper to first. It's an infield single.
But just back to my point, Scott, the field is such an immaculate condition. As you're going to watch this play, we always talk about being able to field your position. That time, Beachy, being a left-hander, kind of split second, did not move quick enough. Got the base hit, I believe, is what they gave them on that one.
It is the second hit of the game for Jackson. So now that pickoff of Dingler looms even larger. 1 on with 2 away. Beachy deals, and the cleanup man Nicholas hits it high in the air to right. Kyler Dam is there in the shadows. He will make the catch. So Massillon Jackson gets a couple of hits. They leave a man stranded after one. We're scoreless in the Division I title game. Here's the postseason history for Strongsville. They were the state champions in 2006, their only previous appearance here to the Final Four. And with their win yesterday, they are playing for another title. And yesterday, they beat Olentangy Orange 3-2. They scored their 3 runs in the first 2 innings. Orange had to rally. They got within 1, but Strongsville held on. And here you see for Jackson, you know a little bit about their history. Champions in 2014. They were also in the state semifinals in 1947. Lost in the Final Four.
That's a long time ago there, partner. A long time. But you know what this team, this baseball program has done? They've been consistent. Sure, everybody loves to get to the Final Four in the baseball front, but boy, each and every year you can count on this team to be solid and well prepared to play this game.
We saw that yesterday when they beat Lakota West 5-1. Jackson jumped on them with 4 runs in the first.
And that's why I kind of said for Strongsville, they got to make sure they're steady from the start. Don't let this team get out in front of you. Hang in there tight. 1 run's not going to make a big difference. Well, you give up 4 runs in the first inning. Big difference maker.
Noah Trezino leading off for Strongsville. The cleanup man. This one's low and away. Strongsville went down in order in the first against Scariotis, the hard-throwing Jackson right-hander.
He will mix pitches up. He has his 3 or 4 zones he loves to get to.
There's a ground ball base hit, and the Mustangs have a runner for the first time.
And not a bad pitch at all. That one was down low and away. Just a better piece of hitting there. Have a little peek right there, pushing the ball right past that second baseman in between first and second. Good way to get the inning started.
Trevor Denning into the box for the Mustangs. Scariotis deals. And the first one, he leaves outside. Last year, Jackson lost in the round of 16. Trying to get here to the state championship. Head coach Bill Gamble said that they really felt like they came up short of their goal a year ago, and these returning players from the beginning have lived up to the expectations. They've handled the fact that they've been the #1 or #2 ranked team the entire year. And he said in today's day and age with social media and all of that extra stuff, he said it might be a little harder to live up to being the team to beat.
I agree with you. And I heard that comment as well from Coach Gamble, and he talked about the social media. Kids, you know, they're very engaged in all of that information, be it on Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of people, you know, singing the raves of this particular team. Sometimes it's tough to handle, but he has mentioned this team has handled it very, very well.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's in the dirt. They're going to throw to second, and they will get the force out at second. So on a swinging strike 3, Trezino tries to advance, and Dingler doesn't even think about going to first base. Watch this.
Well, the ability not only to make sure that you're protecting the ball from getting through, got away from him, still came up with it, fired a strike to the second base area.
The reason I mention that, because first base is occupied. So even on a drop third strike, the batter can't go to first.
Exactly.
And Dingler heads up play, noticing that his only play that he needs to make is at second, fires a dart, cuts down Trezino. That's a smart baseball play on a strike him out, throw him out essentially. And then a fly out here from Lombardo means that Jackson faces the minimum in the top of the second inning. We're scoreless here at Huntington Park. It's Strongsville versus Jackson. We've played an inning and a half, and Strongsville and Jackson scoreless in this Division I title game. The third member of our broadcast team tonight is Marissa Contepelli. It has been a long day for Marissa working from the dugouts. Let's check in with her.
It has, but it's all worth it when a state championship Saturday, Scott. I want you guys to take a look at this. It has been quite a school year for Jackson High School. You name it, the sport, they're almost in a state championship, it seems like. Boys baseball here today. You had girls lacrosse were the runners-up earlier this afternoon. Basketball, of course, were state champions over in March. And then boys soccer, volleyball, girls soccer, they all made regional finals along with boys lacrosse. A truly special year has been over there for the Polar Bears. And something else I want to note to you guys, this baseball team has a chance to make history. Only 7 times in Ohio high school history has the same school won boys basketball and baseball in the same year. The last time it happened in Division I was in 1998 by St. Ed's.
Ground ball to third from Trey Wright. Lombardo takes care of it. There's one away. Dave, you and I saw this Jackson basketball team win the state title just a couple of months ago. And you've got some of the same guys on the baseball field.
You know, and I always say this, Scott, success, no matter what sport it is there's a carryover into the other sports. You bring a swagger to the next sport you're going. I was fortunate to call that state championship game right here on Spectrum Sports. And it didn't take long because they won that state title in basketball. A lot of these guys had to turn around and get ready for baseball practice.
Kyle Nicholas and Dylan Dingler, for example, were on the basketball team. And according to Coach Bill Gamble, when the bus came back from Columbus after the celebration, winning the state title, those guys literally got off the bus, changed clothes, and went out to baseball practice. And they appeared in a game the next day.
You just got to appreciate the success, not only, of course, in the other sports, boys basketball in particular, but now you got an opportunity here to win a state title in baseball. It just tells you, you know, in communities like this, they understand sports is their thing. Be it a carryover with 2 or 3 guys playing 2 or 3 sports, that's just the way it is.
2-2 pitch, fouled back to the screen. Off the bat of Davis Graham, the left fielder for Jackson. Somebody asked Dylan Dingler if he was content by just winning the boys basketball championship. In other words, if the baseball stuff was, maybe icing on the cake, he said, not content. Want to win this one as well.
Yeah, just like the business, we're going to make it a business trip. He's mature beyond his years, trust me. And he's going to, of course, enroll at Ohio State. And they're going to count on him to bring that maturity and that leadership to that Buckeye baseball program as well.
Still a 2-2 count. Nobody on, 1 away. We're in the home half of the second inning. This one popped up foul. That'll reach the seats. Well, so far, Jarrett Beachy doing a nice job on the mound for Strongsville. The pitchers that have been successful this weekend have followed the formula of being able to mix and match their pitches, changing speeds, and then keeping the ball down. The big hits over this weekend have come with pitches left up in the zone.
Absolutely. You know, we've had a lot of one-run games all weekend long, but Beachy, again, is going to have to control his zone areas, as you mentioned, trying to keep the ball down. You got a really athletic, as you see the ball get up the middle. Second baseman's going to make that play.
Denning with the backhand. Nice play by Strongsville's Trevor Denning. And once again, Beachy gets a ground ball out. 2 in a row to start this inning.
And let your defense help you out here. Had to make a pretty good play. Stretch to his right there to make that throw. But, you know, anytime you can stay ahead of the hitters and let your defense be engaged in the game, I think it's a bonus, especially early in the game, which we're still there.
The senior designated hitter, Jack Deere, looks at a first pitch ball.
Beachy's been bringing it right about that cutter, about 80 to 81 miles an hour. He can get to the mid-80s with this heater, though.
Swing and a miss. Does come back with a fastball that shows 80 on the radar gun. The 1-1 off the inside corner. And something that I talk about all the time with baseball, it's more important to be able to locate your pitches and have movement on them than to be able to throw really hard. And in Beachy's case, an 80-mile-an-hour fastball is great, but the stuff he backs it up with is what makes him so dangerous.
Especially at the high school level. I think the control factor and being able to change speeds, as you mentioned earlier, being able to control where you want to put it, keeping the batters a little bit off balance. I think that's a key for any high school pitcher nowadays.
Jack Deere putting up a fight here with nobody on base in the second. Beachy to the plate. Check swing, and apparently it's low. They're going to appeal to first on the swing. He did not go, but Beachy thought he had strike 3. Take another look.
Well, there's your look right there. Ooh, close, but it looked like he pulled it back there.
I think he did pull it back, but the pitch itself might have been over. That one is, and Beachy gets his first strikeout of the game. A 1-2-3 inning for the southpaw, Jarrett Beachy. We are scoreless after 2.
Back here at Huntington Park, scoreless between Strongsville and Jackson as we head to the 3rd inning. And Coach, it's been a bit of a pitcher's duel through 2. What adjustments do you want your hitters to make against Beachy moving forward?
We want to see the ball a little deeper. You know, I think we're a little anxious. Everybody's got adrenaline flowing. We just got to settle in the second time through the lineup, let the ball get deep on us, then we'll be able to get the barrel on it.
Now, as you're getting here to take the field here in the top half of the 3rd inning, how critical would it be to get out of this inning without allowing any runs and to kind of get your offense a chance to get back out there?
Absolutely, and keep that pitch count down and get off the field and score some runs.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
So Bill Gamble wanting to see his hitters be a little more patient. He's talking about the ball getting deeper in the zone. What he's really wanting them to do is go ahead and use the opposite field.
Absolutely. You know, you used the word anxious. I was about ready to say, Coach, what do you expect from these kids right now? Playing for a state title, I'm going to be anxious too.
No doubt.
My adrenaline is at a different level right now, trying to figure out how I'm going to win this game. But again, I think sometimes your emotions might be a little bit high. You got to maybe balance that a little bit, throttle back a little bit, find a way to settle in.
First pitch to Mitch Medea, fouled away. The 0-1 hit on the ground to first. It is backhanded there by Nicholas, and he'll make the throw on to the covering pitcher. The leadoff man is retired. Strongsville was able to get the leadoff man on in the second, but then he was caught stealing.
Well, you work on this play from day one in practice. Pitcher coming off the mound, being able to catch the ball in stride, hitting the bag with your right foot. Excellent execution.
So Kyler Dam is coming up. 2 hits for Jackson, 1 for Strongsville. First pitch low from Scariotis. It's taken for ball 1 by the 8-hitter for the Mustangs. There you see, 1 hit yesterday in the semis. 273 batter is Dam. The 1-0. Finds that one foul back against the screen.
Scariotis came there at 85 mile an hour, got that one up a little bit. But I think, again, the speed of his pitches right now are trying to make sure he gets that ball down. You don't want to get that thing up in that strike zone.
The 1-1 pitch. Just off the outside corner, Dingler trying to frame it up to get the strike call, but it doesn't work this time. Scariotis not only throws hard, but it's got natural movement to it.
You know,
fastball.
We have a great vantage point from right here.
Ground ball shortstop. Yep, here's Romans. Throw was a little wide, but Nicholas is able to play it on the right field side of the base. So that is a 6-3 ground out in the scorebook, and there are 2 away.
And you mentioned Scariotis being able to change his speeds and got good movement. Good play going to your left there. Little ballerina move right there.
So now it's the 9-hitter. Scariotis has faced the minimum because the lone base runner was erased on the caught stealing. First pitch, a strike.
Some shadows taking the effect here in Huntington Park in downtown Columbus.
The 0-1. Wave on a pitch in the dirt. Here at Huntington Park, the sun sets over the first base side of the stands. So left field is the sun field. The shadows creeping out towards the left fielder with every passing pitch. At the beginning of this game, the shadows were near the pitcher's mound, and that can be really difficult on hitters because the ball basically disappears into the shade coming out of the pitcher's hand. Here's strike 3. Scariotis, pinpoint control there, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Jackson starter. 2.5 innings played, no score.
Zeros on the board here at Huntington Park between Strongsville and Jackson. And Coach, I have to ask you, 3 combined hits so far after 2.5 innings. Is this what you expected heading into this one?
Knew it was a possibility. I got 2 really good pitchers on the mound, and they're both competing real well. They're locating pretty well early. Could be a game where 1 or 2 runs wins this thing.
For your offense to kind of get going against Jackson here, what have you liked about your approach yet, the adjustments that need to be made?
We've been aggressive early in the count. We've squared up a couple of fastballs. We generally hit pretty well second time around. We'll see if we can this time.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Doug Cicerci in his 4th season as the head coach at Strongsville. They started the season 0-4, but they're 25-4 since then.
You know, and he talked about that during the teleconference this week. Coach Cicerci Day, and wow, how about the movement right there? Pushing that ball through right past that third baseman. But back to my point, you know, he talked about that start, and he said, we showed a little character. He says, these guys could have lost it a little bit when we're 0-4. They end up being, I think, 7-4, 7-3 to get things moving. Boy, he squared that up nicely there.
Talking about Coach Cicerci, he was an assistant on their 2006 state championship team. He was on that staff. Now he's the head coach. And it was interesting because when he was asked this week about maybe a big victory that helped turn their season around or get them moving in the right direction, he didn't really talk about a win. He talked about a 4-3 loss against this Jackson team.
Well, that shows you the respect that Jackson demands of their baseball program. We kind of heard that a little bit in the Division III ranks with Berlin Highland, you know, who end up getting beat today, their first loss of the season. But, you know, you earn your respect by your performance, consistent performance during the course of 2 or 3 years.
A throw over to first, and back goes Josh Romans, who had the leadoff single a moment ago. Doug Cicerci, I mean, he wasn't beating around the bush. He said Jackson's not only the best team in the state, they were probably the best team last year. They just got knocked off before they could get to Columbus. But he said for their team to go pitch for pitch with Jackson like they did in that meeting helped his team gain a lot of confidence. Sacrifice bunt here from Nick Harrison. It'll move Romans up to scoring position with 1 away.
You know, and keep in mind this Jackson team, not only highly ranked, of course, here in the state of Ohio, in the latest USA Today polls, they were the number 13th team. So that tells you a little about the respect they have across the country as well. As the pitcher, again, field your position. So important in the game of baseball.
Jarrett Beachy against Cade Motice. We're back to the top of the order for Jackson. The third baseman flied to right his first time up. Motice bats leadoff and has done so throughout the course of the year. High on-base percentage. Can drive in runs when he's asked to. That's the situation here. Bouncer to short. It's off the glove of Medea. And everybody is safe. The runner, Romans, broke towards third, and it may have caused Medea to take his eye off the baseball momentarily.
Well, hopefully we'll get a look at it right here. As you see, kind of just hesitated, and I think it may have thrown shortstop off. Just the timing of his play right there. Shadows as well. You're fighting a lot of things out there. But right now, first and third, traffic on the base paths.
E6, first error of the game for either team. The rule is, when you're the runner at second base and there's nobody behind you, if the ball is hit in front of you, don't run.
You hold. Yes.
But he took off, and it pays off for Jackson. Romans ends up at third, Motice at first, and Dylan Dingler, the dangerous catcher, is at the plate now with a chance for Jackson to cash in.
Well, Beachy for the first time in this game has a few things to think about. Got base runners, a good batter at the plate as well.
The pitch. It's a bunt to the first base side and a good one. Picking it up is Denning, and there's no play. Dingler will bring in a run on a bunt single. He placed that bunt perfectly, halfway between the pitcher's mound and first base. Nobody could get to it in a timely fashion, and the Jackson Polar Bears here in the third, strike first.
Well, coaches talk about the ability to do the little things, bunting. Somewhat of a lost start. That one perfectly executed to score that first run of the game.
So Dingler's 2 for 2 in this game. Jake Motice is coming up, but we'll get that meeting at the mound as Coach Cicerci goes out to talk about it. Still just 1 out here in the bottom of the third. He has a lot of confidence in Jarrett Beachy. Between he and the right-hander, Matt Broski, who pitched yesterday, Coach Cicerci said, those guys are our horses. And he said, we feel confident with putting either one of them out there on any given day. They're going to give us a chance to win.
And that's all you can ask of your pitching staff, especially your starters.
Here's the pitch, and Motais takes high, ball one. He was showing bunt, the three-hitter and center fielder, with the cleanup man, Kyle Nicholas, waiting on deck.
Well, we talked earlier about keeping pressure on the Strongsville team, and that's what Jackson is doing right now. You can see they're fake bunting, they're bunting, they're hitting away. A lot of things going on right now.
Fouled back to the screen, make it 1-1. Such an athletic lineup that Jackson puts on the field, so regardless of where in the lineup they're batting and who's on base, they have the capability to start that running game.
And we talked about speed of this team too. You know, once they get moving, they can really fly around the base paths.
Here's the 1-1. Lifted towards third base in foul ground. Lombardo is chasing it. Here comes the left fielder. Sliding attempt from Frank, but no catch. And those two tumble over one another. That was Jack Frank, who came in near the bullpen area and went sliding in an attempt to make the catch. Looks like everybody's okay.
Yeah, exactly. But again, the dimensions of this ballpark are different than what these young kids are used to playing at the high school level.
A little more foul ground here.
A lot more foul ground. You had to make a longer run. You got bullpens over there, mounted bullpens too. So a lot of things you got to think about here as you track down those balls.
Both coaches talked about how they wanted to get their teams down here early this weekend to watch some of the other games, let these guys get a feel for their surroundings.
I think that's a big advantage for all these teams. As you see the attempt to pick off play right there.
He almost threw it into center field.
Almost did. But back to your point, Scott, I do believe that. I think even if you're sitting in the stands, just to kind of get that feel of how the ballpark is playing, and there's you'll see the pickoff play. Almost threw it behind him, as you mentioned there.
It's a good play by the shortstop to catch that throw. Here's a bouncer to second. They'll get one. Media's relay not in time. They're going to throw over to third, and sliding back in safely is Cade Motais. So a fielder's choice. Dingler's out at second.
Well, here's the movement right here, trying to turn the double play here. Pretty good release there on the pass, and you can see right here, Motais getting off the bag a little bit, but that's just a savvy base runner right there, forcing that throw from the first baseman.
So Kyle Nicholas will be the batter. He flied to right his first time up.
If you're Jarrett Beachy right now, take care of your own business right now. You got a good batter at the plate. Do your best to take care of things, and it's not going to happen.
Base hit. Nicholas on the first pitch he sees from Beachy. Rips it into left field. An RBI single. Scoring is Motais. It is now 2-0.
Again, you talk about momentum swings and the ability to square up the ball. That ball got out of the infield in a hurry. As Motais scores.
Kyle Nicholas, not a hitter you're going to be able to sneak a first pitch fastball by very often. Here's a ball hit back up the middle. Denning, the second baseman, gets the flip to Medea, and they will force out Nicholas to retire the side. But the damage is done for the Jackson Polar Bears. They score a pair of runs, and after 3, 2-0 Jackson. The Jackson Polar Bears with a 2-0 lead as we move to the 4th inning, but let's go down and check in with Marissa.
Well, Scott, if you're from Jackson, you should be pretty familiar with the Motais last name. Cade and Jake, of course, senior twins on this team. We saw them both on the bases last year, or this last inning rather. They are just two of the Motices who have gone through the Jackson baseball program. Their brother Zach was a starter on last year's team that went 29-1. He is currently over at Malone University, where both Cade and Jake plan to attend next year. And then their oldest brother, Kyle, he was a leadoff hitter for that 2014 state championship team. He's currently a junior on the University of Cincinnati baseball team, started 37 games this past year. But you know what, guys? The Motice family isn't done. The youngest Motice is Carter, just 11 years old, will be a 6th grader next year. I can tell you guys, he's a lefty hitter and thrower, and he pitches and also plays outfield. Scott?
And oh, by the way, Marissa, the Motice brothers, all fast, all athletic, and all smart, graduating with 3.9 GPAs or better.
Perfect combination right there. Perfect.
Alex Gray swings at the first pitch. High fly ball into right field. Harrison there to put it away, one down. Cade Motice joked earlier this year, he said it's funny because the local radio announcers that cover Jackson's games still can't tell them apart. He said,
you could play some tricks not only on the field but in the classroom as well.
Yep.
On the Twins thing.
He said they all know the name Motice, but
yep,
when it comes to the Twins, figuring out which one is which without their jersey numbers is probably tricky.
Here's Parker Shannon, who had a big game in the regional semifinal, 3 for 3, a couple RBIs, 3 steals as well. And again, Jackson posting those 2 runs. You got to think right now, Strongsville is thinking, let's get some base runners, not get themselves back in the dugout too quick and let Jackson feel that strength and that momentum of what they did there in the 3rd inning.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Fouled off the bat of Parker Shannon. Shannon grounded out his first time, the only Strongsville hit coming from the cleanup man, Noah Trezino, who was caught stealing on a strikeout of Trevor Denning. Denning went sprinting down to first when the ball got away from the catcher, but Dingler, the Jackson catcher, picked it up and fired a dart down to second to get Trezino.
That little sequence is something to kind of keep in the back of our mind as this game unfolds. That was a big play. Smart, savvy play from the senior catcher.
Two balls, 2 strikes, the count. Two runs off of 5 hits for Jackson. Strongsville trying to answer. That pitch just misses. It's a full count for Parker Shannon. Yanni Scariotis. With the polar bear cap and the flat bill, gets the sign and he's ready. Foul back.
Just a perfect evening. I know we've talked about it probably way too much, but normally in the last 2 years we've coincided with the Memorial Tournament that's going on over at Muirfield Village in Dublin. Normally we got thunderstorms, rain delays, lightning strikes. We got a lot going on.
This one bounces up over the head of the pitcher, but the second baseman right gloves it and throws on to Nicholas for the second out of the Strongsville 4th inning. It was funny looking at the box scores of the games early in the tournament as we take a look at the replay of this bounce out.
Let your defense make it happen right there. Go ahead, Scott.
The weather conditions are listed at the bottom of the box score. And Scott Miles, who's been the official scorer for these games, has added his own commentary. One said 79 degrees, picture perfect.
Yes, sir.
The other one said 74 degrees, nothing but beautiful, those kinds of things.
Yep.
And he's been spot on.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. It's always nice, and especially for the players. You know, they make it this far, and, you know, rain delays kind of affect your performance a little bit, and everything is run perfectly on schedule.
The 0-1 for Jack Frank. Ooh, that's a ball, not by much. 1 ball, 1 strike for Frank, who struck out swinging in the first.
Like nice little changing speed pitch there by Yanni Scariotis, who really had the batter off balance.
Ground ball, first base. Nicholas down on it. He will take it himself for the 3rd out, a 1-2-3 inning. And Scariotis has now retired 8 in a row as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Jackson by a pair. 2-0, Jackson leading Strongsville. Here in the state title game, the Division I championship, capping off a great weekend at the 90th annual OHSAA baseball tournament. You look at this Strongsville team, and Dave, they've got some guys that will play at the next level. Jack Frank will keep the color scheme in college. He'll play for Michigan State.
Don't have to change much of the wardrobe right there, but as you look, Parker Shannon, of course, going to Mercyhurst. Seton Hall's going to have a good one, I think, and Jared Beachy. And, of course, the Bobcats, who had an outstanding season this year down in Athens, Ohio, have Matt Broski coming their way.
The Ohio Bobcats winning the Mid-American Conference Tournament and going back to the NCAAs. Very cool for them. Good program in the MAC. First pitch foul. Davis Graham, the batter, to lead it off. Home half of the fourth inning. And this pitch is low from Jarrett Beachy. Davis Graham, Jack Deere, Josh Romans, 6, 7, and 8 due up for the team in purple, the Jackson Polar Bears.
Well, you mentioned it early, Scott. You know, as much as Beachy has the 6, 7, and 8 hole hitter here, it probably is not going to matter. 1 through 9, boy, they are solid. You might think you're at the bottom of the order. You should have a pretty easy inning. Not so much. You're going to really have to fight your way through this.
Against a lot of lineups, especially at the high school ranks, there are certain parts of the order usually where you can take a breath and say, hey, I don't have to be too cute here because I've got some guys coming up that aren't strong hitters.
Yep, if you got a little...
When you're playing against the team that's ranked 13th in the nation, that's not the case.
And there you go, right there. There's your 6-hole hitter right there, having a laser shot out to left field. But to your point, Scott, from a pitching standpoint, sometimes in high school you can just overpower some of the lower level and the lower lineup type of players, but there's the hit right there. And again, we talked about it off the air up here. Just the sound of the ball coming off this Jackson bats, it's just, you can hear it, and it's just solid. Boy, you can just tell whoever the hitting coach is, and I'm sure it's probably Coach Gamble taking credit for most of that.
Here's a bunt back towards the hill. Beachy. His only play will be to first, and he throws wide, but fortunately for him, Trezino is able to get that foot back on the base. And so, Jack Deere is out. Sacrifice bunt. Goes 1-3 in your scorebook.
Now watch Beachy. We're not going to get a look at him, but there's a good job by the first baseman timing that step back from his left foot right there. But Beachy had a play 2 innings ago to second base on an attempted pickoff. He kind of got a little loose with his throw, and that time he got a little loose on that play at first base.
Josh Romans singled and scored last inning. Shows a bunt, watches the curveball. Taken for ball 1. Tell you what, Josh Romans, you want to talk about a player to watch. This young man is a freshman. There's a bunt, third base, charging and picking it up. Making the throw, Lombardo, but not in time. Well, talk about their lineup being deadly, and it's deadly in many ways.
Well, Romans got off to a big start right there after the lay-down bunt. He got out of the box quickly, as you see him right there. An excellent play from the third baseman. Not in time there. Romans, as you mentioned, a young player, freshman, making a big play right now for Jackson.
So it's hard to play varsity sports as a freshman anywhere, any sport. But how about being good enough to make the varsity baseball team for the top-ranked team in the state as a freshman?
It's pretty good. You think about that. You must be pretty good. And again, a lot of respect for Coach Bill Gamble, who has gotten this program to this point. He understands what he needs to find, a young player, and he's willing to put him in tough situations and just let him produce.
So here's Nick Harrison, the 9-hitter, the right fielder, put down a bunt to move a runner over in the third. Going to get some activity started in the Strongsville bullpen. Here's a fly ball towards right. Kyler Dam, he's over, he'll make the catch. Tagging is Davis Graham, he's going to score. So a sac fly and an RBI for Nick Harrison. So even the number 9 hitter has contributed in both of his at-bats. First a sac bunt, now a sacrifice fly, 3-0 Jackson.
Well, you're just trying to move the ball forward here, and that time he got it deep enough for the Polar Bear to make that tag, get all the way to home plate. 3-0 lead right now for Jackson. 3 runs for this team right now. That's a pretty good margin to have.
A tall task for Strongsville to come back in this game. They have just 9 outs to give. Runner goes. Pulling back the bunt on a strike is Cade Motais. Throw is not in time. Romans, a stolen base.
Well, there's the pressure we talked about that Jackson puts on teams. As you mentioned, I thought this inning here was going to be a critical inning for Jared Beachy. There's some activity in the bullpen here on the third baseline for the Mustangs.
Motais, who reached on the E6 his last time up, officially 0 for 2 because he had that and a fly out to right back in the first. Beachy comes plateward and gets the called strike on a slow curve.
Oh, a nice pitch by Beachy there. I got the benefit of making sure the catcher pulled that in and framing that pitch. Beachy now with 2 strikes.
The 1-2.
Came back with that same off-speed pitch. That one at 67 miles per hour. Got to think right now he's going to try to get this one done on his own.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Base hit to left, another well-struck ball. Making the turn is Romans, and now he gets a late stop sign. He almost lost his footing, has to dive back into third base, but it's a Cade Motais single. Another hit for Jackson, their 3rd this inning.
And we talked about really the power and the athletic ability just to get balls to the outfield off of ground balls, and that's what this Jackson team has done since the start of this game.
It's going to be the end of the day for Jarrett Beachy, and the Strongsville players come pouring out of the third base dugout to not just high-five their pitcher, but they're going to give him some hugs because he has had a tremendous season. It's going to be the end of his 2017 season, but Beachy, one of the horses that has led this team here, the senior, just didn't have enough to keep this Jackson lineup at bay tonight.
Well, there's a lot of pitchers here across the state of Ohio that haven't gotten it done against this Polar Bear team. Offensively, they're just a juggernaut. They can just move the ball different places on the field. Beachy, as you mentioned, a senior, has seen his last particular effort here for this Mustang program.
Mitch Medea is going to be the new pitcher for Strongsville. And he comes over from the shortstop position to enter this game. Medea has been their best relief pitcher through the course of the year. He's the guy that recorded the last out of the regional final in their win against Medina. He came in and was able to get an out with the bases loaded to get them here to the state tournament. He's been in some high pressure situations.
And that was a one-run win, 3-2 over Medina. And again, that's exactly what you got to do, is come down and shut down people.
And in at shortstop is Austin Mercurio, the junior. Plays a little outfield, playing shortstop as well, and that's where he'll be now in the 4th inning. Strongsville trailing 3-0. Jackson already has 1 run in.
And the challenge for this young man right now is to face one of the better players in the state of Ohio. And number 10, Dylan Dingler.
Dylan Dingler.
Not exactly what you want to face as soon as you walk out of the mound in a relief scenario here to see this guy up at the plate. But
leading up to their game against Lakota West yesterday in the semis, Lakota West coach said, talking about Dingler, he's one of the best catchers I've seen in high school baseball in 19 years of coaching.
That'll say something right there.
And as you were talking about, headed to Ohio State to play for Greg Beals. Beals has called him a difference maker when he gets over to play at Ohio State. In their regional final, he picked off 2 runners with snap throws to the bases, gunned down another, trying to advance to second on a throw from the outfield. Those are the kind of plays that make the difference when you're playing against quality competition, which is the case here in the state tournament. We've already seen Dingler's value defensively on that caught stealing earlier.
There's got a 2-1 count right now, a batter's count. Gonna let that one go to the outside, increases to 3-1. You got to think right now, Dingler, they're going to actually intentionally walk him, send him on the 4th ball to first base. Probably a good decision there by the Mustangs.
Go ahead and load the bases, but now you have to deal with Jake Motice, who has singled and hit into a fielder's choice. Motice. Ready to bat. Left-handed against the right-handed pitcher. Here's the pitch. He almost hit him. Mitch Medea against Jake Motice. Here's the 1-0. He did hit him. Well, you could tell that he wanted to pitch him inside based on the first offering. The problem is, with the bases loaded, you can't pitch him too far inside or that'll happen. That's a hit batsman that brings home Josh Romans and makes it 4-0 Jackson.
Well, we'll get a good look right here on the replay. Again, you have to make an effort to get out of the way, which he did there. And there's the 4th run. And every run right now is such a critical run here for Strongsville, having that scored against them right now, because a 4-0 lead, a big uphill battle for this team right now, and they're still not out of this inning. Bases are still loaded.
Kyle Nicholas is the cleanup hitter, and he's the guy that's in the batter's box. Nicholas singled in the 3rd. 4 runs off of 8 hits now for Jackson. That pitch down and away.
I think this is what you worry about on any team, is when you get to a game where you're back-to-back nights, you got to go to one of your second starter, let's say, and then you're going to rely upon some other guys. All hands on deck right now in a relief situation, and that's what the Mustangs are right now. As Coach made his way out there just to settle his young pitcher down.
And I think you're right. I don't think that's anything about strategy. He just goes out and says, take a deep breath.
Yes.
We're okay. We've been playing baseball for a long time now.
Right.
This is no different, even though it's in front of a big crowd at Huntington Park. Let's just do what we do. And so let's see here if Mitch Medea now calms down and goes after Kyle Nicholas. He does. Good pitch.
Yep. Sometimes all it takes is a little conversation from your head coach, who knows his players better than anybody in this ballpark. He knows what to say and when to say it. Maybe his mom and dad might know him a little bit better. I'm not sure, Scott, but I know the coach probably spends a whole lot of time from April through June.
Coach is pretty high on that list.
You're exactly right.
And we've got a balk call. A bases loaded balk called on Mitch Medea. And Coach Cicerci wants an explanation. This is going to make it 5-0 as Cade Motice crosses home plate.
Now we'll be able to make our own judgment here. As you see the movement right there, and that's where the umpire was right on top of it, behind the plate umpire. Made that call automatically on the balk call.
A strike to Kyle Nicholas. Whatever the explanation was, Doug Cicerci didn't put up much of a fight. Got the explanation, went back to the third base dugout.
Now you're facing Kyle Nicholas. 8-0 as a pitcher this year. Excellent hitter, excellent hitter as well. Had 7 strikeouts Friday night in the semifinal game. Just a terrific player.
346 batter during the season. 4 doubles, 18 RBIs. Looking to play in the Mid-American Conference at Ball State. This one's fouled back. I think that when you look at this Jackson team, what they do really is they put a lot of pressure on the opposition to make every pitch, make every play, and for example, a balk on a pitcher that hasn't made a mistake like that probably all year.
Right.
But they put so much pressure on you. And ball 4 here means the bases are loaded again, and they force you to make little mistakes that you don't otherwise make.
And this is, of course, second trip for the man. They're going to make a change. Looks like right here.
So Mitch Medea is coming out of this game, and so Alex Gray, the center fielder, is probably going to enter the game. He's the guy that has been next on their depth chart, if you will, has come in and logged some relief innings during the course of the year. Sure enough, that is what's going to happen as Gray sprints in from center and goes into the dugout. He will get another glove, and he'll be ready to go here into this game as the third pitcher used by Doug Cicerci with a 5-0 Jackson lead. Gray, there you see the numbers, a less than 1 ERA. He's been very good for Strongsville.
But I don't think Doug Cicerci, the coach of the Mustangs, really has much choice. Can't let this game get away from you here with a lot of innings to play yet. You want to make sure you at least get an opportunity to get out of this inning, get your bats ready, and make something happen at the offensive end.
And in the case of Gray, he's a senior. He is the guy that throws strikes, and they're hoping he can do that here. And just what you said, Dave, find a way out of this inning. 3 runs are already in for the Polar Bears.
For Strongsville, now on the mound, 5, Alex Gray. Now playing shortstop, 20, Mitch Medea.
Medea goes back to short.
Now in center field, 22, Jack Frank.
And in center field is Jack Frank.
Normally I would probably say, Scott, well, let your defense help, just throw strikes. But against this Jackson team, I mean, you have to be careful of where you're putting the ball as a pitcher as well, because they can really, really make some plays from the offensive standpoint. So it isn't like there's a weakness in their lineup where you can just say, hey, let our defense help us. You almost got to throw ideal pitches, try to get some strikeouts.
Austin Mercurio is going to be the guy in left field now with all the changes being made. There you see him out in left. So Medea back to short. Frank goes to center from left. And Alex Gray on the bump. Trey Wright is the batter. Swings at the first pitch, hits it towards Mercurio in left field. He'll make the catch falling down. How about that? They put him in left field, the ball's hit right to him. 3-run score for Jackson, though. It's 5-0 Polar Bears after 4 innings at Huntington Park. This Jackson Polar Bears team, they're trying for their 30th win of the season. And they do so not just with their offense, but what they can do with the gloves.
Well, they do that. You got to give credit right now to sophomore Scarazi's on the mound, because he's letting his defense help, helping himself out on the plays as well. But how about the shortstop? Little acrobatic play there. Got a lot of black underneath the eyes right there. I'm sure that was for the initial sun. But at this point right now, most important thing you can do on the mound as a pitcher is throw strikes, maintain this 5-0 lead that Jackson has put on the Strongsville Mustangs.
Yanni Skariotis, only a sophomore, and one of the top recruits in all of Ohio already. And he's on the mound. He's the guy that Strongsville has to solve if they're going to get back into this game.
It's always impressive to see a young player, being a sophomore, take full command of the game.
Noah Trezino at the plate. First pitch, a ball for the first baseman, Trezino. He has Strongsville's only hit so far. A single to right in the second inning. He was caught stealing at second. There's a ball lined into center. He's 2 for 2.
Good start for the Mustangs here in the 5th inning. This ball got up a little high right there. Maneuvered that ball right to the center field area. Some runners on base are always a big benefit right now when you're trying to get yourself back in the game. Down 5-0.
Trevor Denning is at the plate. First pitch of ball. Struck out in the second inning. Last year, this Massillon team lost to Stowe Monroe Falls 3-2 in the regional final. Here's a strike. Snapping their unbeaten streak, having won 29 in a row up till that point. Here they are a year later at 29-2. And they're 9 outs away from a state championship. They've been on quite a run, the Polar Bears, the last 4 years. 4 district titles, 2 regional titles, and of course they were the state champs in 2014.
And keep in mind, Scott, they graduated a big group of seniors as well. So you got a lot of things from that standpoint, trying to get younger players to understand their role. So a lot of coaching went on in the preseason back in April when they got into practice settings for Coach Gamble, making sure they understood exactly what they're going to need to do.
What was really crazy about it, Dave, they graduated 12 seniors, 10 of them go on to play college ball. And yet, with the players he had coming back, they were the favorites from the beginning. Here's ball 4, and Strongsville now puts 2 on base as Denning draws the walk. First walk allowed by Scariotis, and now with 2 on, it's Giovanni Lombardo coming up. The third baseman flied to center his first time. Dingler goes out to the mound to have a word with his sophomore battery mate.
Well, he's going to have the first word right here, but it won't take long. Scariotis kind of continues to struggle a little bit. Coach Gamble will make his way out there. He won't waste much time making sure he gets his 2 words in as Dingler makes his way back to the area right behind home plate.
The right-hander peering in. A check of the runner at second base. And the first pitch, high for a ball to Lombardo.
And here's the decision right now. We're going to be pitching coach. Some of them are going to make a little conversation, a little more serious conversation.
Well, Scariotis is flat dominant sometimes, but when he has run into trouble, it's been because he's kind of lost a feel for the baseball. He struggled a bit in their district semifinal against Massillon. Pitches started to get up in the zone on him, but he came back and gave 6 solid innings after that to go to 8-0 on the year. In his last start, gave up 2 runs, 1 earned on 8 hits, struck out 3, didn't walk anybody in that game. Dan Rodriguez, the pitching coach for this Jackson team. Here's a ground ball over to second. First baseman will be the guy that covers. They'll get the out, 4-3 on Lombardo. The runners will advance, of course. Picked up by Wright, and then the question was Nicholas going to cover or was the pitcher going to take it?
Well, the second baseman had to delay before he released the ball to make sure he had somebody at least at that bag on first base, but Lombardo did get his job done. We got second and third right now for the Mustangs. An opportunity here, a base hit, possibly score 2.
Mitch Medea came in to pitch last inning, faced 3 batters, walked 2 and hit a man, before moving back to shortstop where he began the game. First pitch, a strike.
Even though there was a visit to the mound from one of the coaches, no activity in the bullpen on the right-hand side here for the Polar Bears.
The 0-1. Against this Jackson team, when you have opportunities like this, 2 in scoring position, you've got to take advantage of them. Down 5 runs, We're in the 5th inning. High and tight with a fastball. You don't want to say that this is the last chance Strongsville will get, but it might be their best chance before it's all said and done.
That's well said there, Scott. And again, throwing strikes is important as Dingler makes a bullet throw down there. I'm not sure if that was a ball or a strike. It must have been a ball, maybe up in the strike zone a little bit. 3-1 count right now.
Dingler looking into the dugout to get the sign. Sends it to Scariotis, and the pitch is lined foul back to the screen.
Medea fought that one off. Full count.
Here comes that payoff pitch. We'll do it again. Mitch Medea. Hoping he can come through at the plate right here and with a base hit, maybe cut the deficit to 3 runs. The 3-2. Just missed. Scariotis trying to catch the outside corner. Does not get the call. He's walked 2 in the inning after not walking anybody in the first 4 frames.
Here's that 3-2 pitch right here. Probably a little bit low. Dingler tried to frame that pitch outside as well. Bases loaded. Good opportunity here for the Mustangs.
Kyler Dam takes a big swing. With that swing, Dam was thinking, if I can hit it over the wall at Huntington Park, we'll make this a 1-run game.
If I'm not mistaken, we played, this is our 6th, I'm not sure how many games, but there hasn't been a home run that has left the field, but there has been an inside the park home run here during the weekend of play here.
First one in the state tournament since 2012, I believe.
This is what you call putting your weight on the back foot, taking everything you got.
The 0-1 pitch. Ooh, called strike on the breaking ball. Dropped that curve in to get ahead 0-2 on the senior right fielder for the Mustangs. Strongsville folks did not care for that strike call. The 0-2 pitch. Got him.
Excellent pitch. Little cutter moved away to the outside corner. You can see a tough pitch to hit. You see a little curveball dropped off the table right there. Big pitch for Scariotis.
J.D. Duplain's going to come in and hit now for Strongsville. The sophomore is going to pinch hit in the 9 spot with the bases loaded. Jackson leading 5-0. So Coach Doug Cicerci has been pushing all the buttons and pulling all the levers here, trying to keep his team in the game.
He's been an active coach here in the last 2 innings or so. I'm not sure how many more moves he has to make, but he's working hard at it right now.
For Strongsville, batting for Zach Cushion, 44, J.D. Duplain.
So the runner at third is Trezino. It's Denning at second, Medina at first. And here's Duplain at the plate. Scariotis deals. And the first one is low, ball 1. Well, this is a guy you bring off the bench with a little pop in his bat, and you hope that he can do some serious damage with
right.
one swing. The pitch. And that'll be taken for a ball. Look good from up here.
Yeah.
Doug Cicerci knows that his team He's going to run out of chances if they don't capitalize soon. Here's the 2-0. And that one's tapped right back towards the hill. So Scariotis will get out of the jam, and a missed opportunity in a big way for the Strongsville Mustangs. 1 hit, 2 walks, they leave him loaded. We go to the bottom of 5, Jackson by 5.
You know, we've been about this Jackson team and their potent offense and their speed on the bases. As you see, one of the tags up, one of the runs scored right there. And again, a lot of it was self-inflicted for the Mustangs. The hits batsmen, the walks, scoring some runs. The balk situation also kind of throws this game into a little bit of a tizzy there. Jackson, though, with this 5-run margin, you got to feel right now it's going to take a whole lot from this Mustang team, Scott, to get themselves back in the game.
With Jackson leading into the state tournament, some folks asked him about the trip to Columbus and the experience of being here, and it was interesting to hear their players, specifically the seniors, talk about how they were going to enjoy this weekend, but it was a business trip. Yep. They were here to make sure they took home the trophy. Well, now they are 6 outs away.
It probably starts, as much as we heard that from the players, it starts at the top. Coach Gamble is a very disciplined type of guy. He knows what it's going to take to win a state title. You can come down here and you can enjoy the games and all that, but when I get inside the lines on the field, it's got to be all business trying to win this state title.
Davis Graham leads off for the Bears. Has grounded out and singled. Looks at ball 1. From the right-hander on in relief for Strongsville, Alex Gray. Little meeting at the mound here as Parker Shannon, the catcher, goes out. Might be an issue with the mound. Parker Shannon kicking at the dirt right in front of the pitching slab, and now they're trying to get the attention of the home plate umpire and let him know what's going on. Well, whatever Alex Gray doesn't like about the mound, I guess the answer he got was deal with it, because he looked dumbfounded.
Yeah, it was like
he had to turn and go back out to the mound. Well,
behind the plate umpire made that decision pretty quickly there. Let's go, let's play.
Two balls and no strikes now. Here's the pitch. And Graham takes high. If you are Alex Gray and you are this Strongsville team, you absolutely have to keep the Bears off the scoreboard this inning. Already down 5, just a couple of opportunities left for your offense to do anything. They have got to try and put together some clean innings on defense. The 3-1. It's a swing and a miss from Davis Graham. It's a full count.
Last 2 pitches, he brought it both at 83 miles per hour. Good location, good pitches.
And the 3-2. Davis Graham being called down towards the third base coach's box for a quick chat. Jackson trying to win its 2nd state championship in the last 4 years. They won it all in 2014. Now time is called by the catcher, Parker Shannon. Here comes the 3-2 pitch after that long break. He misses outside, does Gray, and Graham issues a leadoff walk. So it'll be the DH, Jack Deere. Deere. Called out on strikes in the second, laid down a sac bunt in the fourth. The senior DH helicoptering that bat up over his right shoulder and then slides it down to show bunt.
Pulled it back.
And back goes Graham. The 1-0 pitch. He does get the bunt down. First base side. Gray will pick it up and make a clean throw. Sacrifice bunt moving Davis into scoring position. And the freshman Josh Romans is coming up.
Well, we talked about again. You've mentioned it, and I've mentioned it several times. You try to put pressure on their guys in the field defensively to make plays. That time the pitcher Gray did a nice job, but again, we got a runner at second. You can just feel the pressure as it mounts a little bit. Jackson continues to do that on this Mustang defense.
Romans takes strike one. I'll say it again, I said it earlier today, but the umpiring crews this weekend have done a phenomenal job.
They really have. I mean, it's been excellent.
We have the advantage of replay. We'll watch a play over and over again if it's close enough just to see whether a guy was safe or was he out. Was it a ball or was it a strike? These guys continue to almost always get it right the first time.
Well, they earn their way to the Final Four here in downtown Columbus to umpire these games. It's on their bucket list of things trying to get to. Some of these guys have been here before, some newcomers as well on some of these crews.
Breaking ball, missing down and in. 1-2 the count for Josh Romans. Runner at second, one away. The home half of the fifth inning, and Jackson holding a 5-0 lead. Looking for more in this at bat. Here's the set again. The 1-2. Breaking ball got away and goes all the way to the backstop. Up to third base goes Graham. It'll be a wild pitch that advances him 90 feet closer. And with only one out, now Romans just needs a sacrifice fly to add to the Jackson lead. Watch this pitch just run away from Parker Shannon.
Yeah, Parker Shannon, an excellent catcher as well. No way he's going to find his way to get in front of that ball right there as the runner makes his way to third base. As you mentioned, Scott, another opportunity here to put another tally on the board here.
Swing and a miss. Romans is out on strike. And with 2 down in the inning, it'll be Nick Harrison coming up. First strikeout of the game for Alex Gray. The starter, Jarrett Beachy, only struck out 1 over 3 2/3 innings. 5 runs scored against him.
Gray brought that one at 86 miles per hour, so he's rearing back right now. He's trying to throw strikes and still pitching from the stretch position.
This one is lifted foul, deep down the right field side and into the seats. Well, that's the thing when you're pitching against Jackson. They have runners on base a lot, so you end up pitching from the stretch a lot.
You do. You do, and you know, it just, again, a pitcher might have a comfort level in terms of what he likes to do. Seen it done different ways, but he's just rearing back trying to throw strikes right now. That one was up at 84 miles per hour.
Here's the 3-1. Now it's 3 balls and 1 strike. That was a 2-1 pitch. Ball 4. So Harrison walks. Second walk allowed this inning. Davis Graham, who led off the inning by getting a free pass, is now standing over at third base. Cade Motice coming to the plate.
And now you got to face the top of the order with Motice, and then of course Dylan Dinger, Jake Motice. Got some heavy hitters right here at the 1, 2, and 3 spots, just trying to get that third out.
As Marissa told us earlier, to Malone, just like his twin brother Jake. The 1-0's lined into left field, extra bases. Cade Motice will plate one as Graham scores. Harrison being waved around. Here comes the relay throw home, and they don't get him. Harrison slides under the tag. It's 7-0 Jackson. Motice a double, he moves to third on the throw home. Bang, bang play at the plate, but a heads-up job by Nick Harrison, getting under the tag with the feet first slide.
Yeah, I think it was a good call. He got down quickly. We'll have a good look at it right here, but there's the laser shot right there to the third baseline. Good job by finding the cutoff guy on the infield. And here's the play, right at home plate right here.
Tagged him at the belt, and by the time that tag was applied, Harrison was able to get his feet to the plate. The throw beat him. When the throw gets there first, you're usually in trouble, but Harrison with a beautiful slide. And now Dylan Dingler hoping he can add to another scoring inning for Jackson. They scored 2 in the third, 3 more in the fourth, and now 2 here in the fifth. The 1-1. Big swing and a miss.
Kind of fooled Dingler there with that off-speed pitch at 66 miles per hour. Dingler doesn't get fooled often, folks. A potent hitter, excellent player. Dingler talked about trying to keep to our routine. Sometimes when you get in an environment like this, you get out of your routine a little bit. It's one thing he told his teammates they should concentrate on as he laces one there down the third baseline.
Just inside the line. Dingler to second, RBI stand-up two-bagger for the future Ohio State Buckeye. Jackson adds another. It's 8-0.
He's keeping to his routine, that's for sure. Boy, he got the barrel of the bat out in front of that. Bat speed for Darren Dingler is off the charts. Got that one to drop.
So Dylan Dingler, 3 hits today. They haven't figured him out yet. 3 hits and a walk for the Polar Bears catcher. Dingler was 3 for 4 yesterday with an RBI in the semifinal win over Lakota West.
Some activity down in the bullpen for the Polar Bears.
Both teams will have a reliever throwing in the pen. Jake Motice at the plate. First pitch to him, a strike. Motice single, fielder's choice, hit by pitch with the bases loaded in the 4th inning. It's now 0-2.
The Polar Bears have scored several runs. We've been on this 2-out sequence here for quite a few batters. Trying to get this third out are the Mustangs.
8 runs off of 10 hits for the Jackson lineup tonight. Dingler off the base at second. Alex Gray, the 5'10" senior, trying to get that third out. Gets a swing and a miss. A high fastball. 2 more, make it 3 more runs across for Jackson, this time off of 2 hits. And it's 8-0 Polar Bears. 8-0 Jackson. We go to the 6th here in the Division I state title game. RBI double from Dylan Dingler, allowing Jackson to add to the lead, and with more On the sensational Polar Bears catcher, here's Marissa.
Scott, sensational is a very great way of describing Dylan Dingler. Talk about the triple threat that he has been for the Jackson Polar Bears. Obviously, we have seen what he can do out on the baseball field just from his production in the state championship game. But he was also a very key component to the state championship basketball team. In March, he was their sixth man, a defensive specialist for the Polar Bears. And oh yeah, he just happened to be a first-team all-selection in football. He had 15 touchdowns, over 1,000 receiving yards. And then he also led the team in tackles as a safety and was their punter. So Scott, guys, it's gonna be pretty sad to see Dylan Dingler leave Jackson and his Polar Bear career, but I have to pose a question to you. Is there anything that Dylan Dingler can't do?
Marissa, he drove the team bus to Columbus as well.
That's right. That's right. And he made sure all the meals were on time for the team. And you made me dizzy with everything he did, Marissa. That's amazing. The numbers, the stats, 3 particular sports. Very respectable, though.
Washes the team's uniforms.
Whatever it takes, right? Just get it done.
Dylan Dingler. What a weekend he is having. 6 hits in 2 games for him. Chopper to the shortstop, and Alex Gray is thrown out. 6-3 in your scorebook. The leadoff man gone in the Strongsville 6th inning. Parker Shannon, the catcher, coming up next.
Not sure the pitch count on Skrotis right now. It's probably up there, maybe what, 75 to 77. I'm not sure of the number, but I guess I'll ask you, Scott, you just let him ride it out here the next inning and 2/3 here. That one's going to drop in the gap there.
Parker Shannon makes the wide turn. He'll hold with a 1-out single. Even though somebody was throwing in the bullpen a moment ago, I think we'll probably see the right-hander continue with this big lead.
Well, that one got into the gap there. Good play by the outfielders there for Jackson to cut it off as quickly as possible. Held the runner to that single.
Scariotis will face Jack Frank. The 3-batter in the lineup, and a ground ball base hit to right. Back-to-back hits now for the Mustangs. But you pose an interesting question. How long does head coach Bill Gamble stay with his starting pitcher? He's got a comfortable lead, but if Strongsville starts to produce a few runs in this inning, you'd have to figure you'll make a change.
You know, I guess, you know, he's had pitchers that, you know, having a complete game is not one of the goals, of course, but, you know, pitchers are, their mindset is, hey, let me finish this thing. I feel good. And, you know, coaches at this point in the game, when they come to the dugout, the pitching coach, be it Coach Gamble, are saying, how you feel, but it's just like when you're asked your own kids, how's school going? I'm doing great, Dad, until you find out when you see the report card come. But, you know, he wants to finish this game. I understand that, but I still think the opportunity here just to shut down batters is more important than making sure he's on the field.
5 1/3 innings logged so far. Has allowed 4 hits, nothing in the run column. Facing Noah Trezino, the first baseman, the senior. He'll look at a strike on that pitch. Slow curveball from the Jackson righty. Scariotis, only a sophomore. Out on the hill, has all the tools already. His 1-2 pitch. Ooh, trying to get a swing and a miss there. That's kind of one of those situations where you're okay to waste one, ahead 1-2, but his stuff is so good that
right
on a lot of occasions he'll probably get a swing and a miss on that pitch. Comes back with a fastball, snap throw to first by Dingler, and it kicks away from Nicholas at first. So around is Parker Shannon. He's going to try to score, and he will. The throw is late and offline. It'll be a throwing error on the catcher, Dingler, and that is how Strongsville gets on the scoreboard. Jack Frank goes all the way around to third. It'll now be an 8-1 game.
And this normally is a play that Dylan Dingler makes routinely. And just watching him after this play here, he was very upset with himself. Kind of took his fist right into his catcher's mitt. He gave it one of those, I shouldn't have done that. He doesn't have very many errors on the season, Scott.
He's made that play this year, throwing out a guy who got a large secondary lead. Trezino drives one to center. That's going to be over the head of Motais, and that'll score Jack Frank. Trezino RBI double. The Strongsville Mustangs are not done yet. They've scored twice here in the 6th. That ball was smoked.
But like I like to say, you get to this point in your season in a state championship game, you're not going to go down without a little bit of a fight. And that's what this Mustang program is doing right now.
Going to get a change at second base. We're going to have a pinch runner. Joey Messerini is into the game to run for Noah Trezino. You know, it was interesting listening to Doug Cicerci talking this week about Strongsville, because Jackson is known for having such tremendous base running and being aggressive. Coach Cicerci was very honest about his lineup. Here's a ground ball to second, hit by Trevor Denning. And Wright will pick it up and throw him out. 2 away. The runner moves to third. But he said, talking about his lineup, he said, we have 4 or 5 guys that run really well. And he said, we have 2 or 3 guys that don't run well.
He was being honest with everybody.
But what he pointed out was that he's not afraid to go to his bench and bring in a pinch runner, because they're confident in about 5 players that they have in that dugout that can come into a game and help them. Here's a chopper to second. It again is Wright. Over to Nicholas, and the side is retired. They pinch run here for Trezino. In the end, it doesn't make any difference. But 2-run score from 3 hits. It's the middle of the 6th. It's 8-2 Jackson. Relive this and every OHSAA Spring Sports Championship with our recap show. It debuts Friday, June 9th at 7 p.m. right here on Spectrum Sports, your home for high school sports. Baseball, softball, lacrosse, track and field. It's a busy time of the year as we wrap up the spring sports season.
Well, you have to really admire what the High School Association does in this particular weekend, because this is a heavy load for all of their people. They are everywhere. They are up in softball, up in Akron. They're over there on the Ohio State campus with track and field. They got a lot going on here at Huntington Park. Lacrosse is in action as well.
And oh, by the way, all of it runs flawlessly.
Oh, yeah. The other people do a great job, headed by Dr. Dan Ross, Jerry Snodgrass, Tim Street on the communication front, as I mentioned earlier, in one of the radio broadcasts. I don't know how he does it, but he keeps all of us kind of attuned to what's going on. Just a remarkable job by the staff with the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
One of the things that always fascinates me this time of year with the team sports, when you have teams that make it this far, your seniors are graduating. So you have graduation ceremonies around postseason baseball and softball.
And that's one of the things, Scott, that and the board tabled this week, but there has been some talk about extending the baseball season by 2 weeks. And they tabled it for future discussions. One of them, as you see the first pitch in this inning, one of the issues was what you just said. They were a little concerned that if they move it out another 2 weeks, it can really affect graduation and how players are going to be able to get to graduation. Right now it happens in district play,
right.
Not as many. If it happens early in the tournament, there's a lot of schools that will be impacted.
Lewis Rahm is into the game now as the next pitcher for Strongsville. 6'2" senior right-hander pitching to the first baseman and cleanup man for Jackson, Kyle Nicholas. Nicholas, Wright, and Graham, 4, 5, and 6 due up. 8-2, Jackson with the lead. Strongsville gets one last chance at him in the 7th. Here's Rahm pitching, and he's been a reliever that Strongsville has used in a lot of different situations, sometimes close games, sometimes when the score is lopsided, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Strongsville's had great pitching depth. They have their 2 starters, which have been their horses, as their head coach said, but they can go to guys pretty deep into the bullpen, and they don't lose a whole lot.
Right. That's a nice luxury to have. That pitch was a little low right there. Count goes to full, 3-2.
You see Kyle Nicholas' numbers today. A hit, a walk. One of the 10 hits today for Jackson. He'll look at ball 4, second time he tonight. The leadoff man is on, with Trey Wright coming to the plate. It's an interesting thing, the topic of expanding the baseball season a couple of weeks, because then you're talking about playing into the middle stages of June. You're talking about the early parts of the tournament or the end of the regular season falling around graduation. It would kind of change the way the scheduling is put together.
Well, it is, and again, a lot of it is predicated. The high school baseball coaches felt that the weather here, which we know anytime in April or May, anything could happen, but there was teams up in the Northeast quadrant up in Cleveland that maybe at that point, maybe mid-season, only had a couple games in because of all the, be it snow outs or weather-related issues. But I think a lot of the factors they wanted to study as well, Scott, as you see the square up on the bunt there, was trying to determine how it affects some of the other sports too, be it football, some of the other sports that were trying to kind of get into their off-season type of activities. So it's a tough decision to make. I think sooner or later, I think the coaches will probably get a little bit of what they wanted, maybe only a week, could be 2 weeks, you never know.
This bunt comes foul back towards the screen. Well, in Jackson's case, with rainouts and games being moved around, you've got to play your league games. So if you have non-league games that get washed out, sometimes they get put on the back burner, they don't get made up. Jackson added a game at the end of the year against Berlin Highland.
That's right.
And it was one of the only 2 losses they had all year, a 2-1 loss heading into the tournament. But it was a game they added because of the early rainouts that didn't get made up. Here's a bunt over to third. They'll go to second for one. A relay throw, poor decision there, wide throw. It actually hits off the facing of the Jackson dugout, so no damage done, but they'll get the lead runner at second. So that'll be the first out of the inning.
Right.
Now the Jackson fans wanted Nicholas to be safe at second base, I guess thinking that the fielder vacated the bag before the throw, before he received the throw, but I don't think that was the case.
No.
So they do get Nicholas off the bases. Trying to get down a sack bunt. Trey Wright ends up with a fielder's choice. Davis Graham is the batter, the left fielder. The junior has hit and walked in this game and has scored 2 of Jackson's runs. This pitch down and away.
You know, if I could add one more point about our discussion on extended season, one thing that would be affected if they did extend it was maybe the availability of this beautiful ballpark to play your state championship games in. You know, scheduling wise, Ken Schnake does a good job of blocking out the dates to accommodate the high school association, but it might force the high school association to move to a different venue. And I don't think they don't prefer to do that. That wouldn't be their top priority, but it could come into play.
This ballpark opened in 2009, home of the Columbus Clippers, AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Indians. And I may be biased, but I don't think there's a better ballpark, not just to play the high school championships, but in minor league baseball in the country.
No question about that. But again, that scheduling piece, when you start talking about, instead of playing on June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, you're talking about maybe the 14th, 15th, and 16th that you would have your state championship game if that season got extended.
Brings up some interesting discussion for sure. Davis Graham fouling this pitch back to the net. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the Jackson left fielder, the 6-hitter in the lineup for the Polar Bears. Well, the reviews among coaches and players that have been here to the state tournament since the opening of Huntington Park have been phenomenal. I mean, the experience these players get by playing in this venue. This one's fouled away. You've got 2 major league ballparks in the state of Ohio, but neither is centrally located.
Right. And I think more importantly, besides the venue, is just how these players are treated. They don't get this type of treatment all season long, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special weekend for all of these players, and there's a fly ball to shallow.
Kyler Dam charging in on it to make the catch. So there's the second.
To have the practice facility, the batting facility down underneath by the dugouts, just the little things that kind of makes you feel pretty special if you're a high school player, to be able to come to downtown Columbus and feel like you've really done something well to earn your way here, and that's important.
This ballpark has won numerous awards by different publications since it opened. It's now actually in the running for, again, one of the best ballparks in minor league baseball. BallparkDigest.com, a website that gives reviews on different facilities around the nation at various levels. Putting this one under consideration again for its best ballpark recognition. There were some publications that made this the ballpark of the year when it was first opened over the new Yankee Stadium, which opened the same year, and they spent $1 billion to build the new home of the New York Yankees. Two balls, one strike for Jack Deere, the senior designated hitter. Swings and launches one to left. This ball hit way back, but getting there, camping underneath it, and making the catch for the final out is Austin Mercurio. So we go to the 7th, one last chance for Strongsville. They need 6 runs to tie. Eight to 2 Jackson as we go to the last inning here at Huntington Park. Beautiful night in Columbus. The Strongsville Mustangs will get one last chance to try and rally against a Jackson team that a lot of people thought they were going to be here all year long, but expectations are one thing.
That's right.
Taking care of business is another, and here's what they did this year. 17 straight wins. The 23 wins in the regular season set a school record. Talmadge and Highland, the only 2 teams to beat them. Both of those squads made it here to the state tournament as well.
And you know, if this score holds up and Jackson wins this state title, I think even probably is going to feel a little bit better because of what you said. Expectations were high, the standard was there, and to win that championship when all those things were in play means a whole lot more, I know, to this coaching staff, players, of course, and this community that has come to follow this baseball team.
When expectations are that high, and anything less than a state championship would be considered a disappointment, that's a lot for 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds to think about.
And we heard that during the basketball season as well, when they were making their run during the tournament play in boys basketball. That standard was there. They were going to try to get it done.
Mitch Medea leading off the inning. Here's a strike on the 2-0 pitch. Yanni Scariota stays on the hill for the 7th inning. He is trying to go the distance in this one. 2 balls, 2 strikes, now the count for Medea. Mitch Medea grounded out to first and has walked in this game. The 2-1. Oh, yeah. That's high. I should say that was a 2-2 pitch after the foul ball. So now we've got a full count for Medea. And Scariotis deals. High for ball 4. It is still a 6-run ball game. There's some throwing down in the Jackson bullpen. So again, I guess the question becomes, how long does head coach Bill Gamble want to stick with his starting pitcher